To celebrate the 100th episode of my podcast, I recently created a definitive list of the best fish in the saltwater aquarium hobby. Both me and my co-host and fellow YouTuber Ryan from Prestige Reef selected 9 fish each, then split them into 9 categories and put our choices to a public vote to determine the winner. So in this video, I can officially give you the 9 best fish in the saltwater aquarium hobby, as well of course as 9 more runners up. The first category was Algae Eater, and the winner by the finest of margins with just 51% of the vote was the purple tang. Ryan chose the purple instead of the yellow tang because of the extra colour variety, the significantly smaller price tag, and because the purple tang will eat more or less every type of algae, including bubble algae. Their size and boisterous demeanour means that they'll need a tank of at least 4 feet long, but as well as eating algae and being completely reef safe, they are also absolutely stunning, and the deep purple body with its yellow fins is a combination worthy of the winner. The runner-up was the humble one-spot foxface, which got to the final over the nano-tank friendly lawnmower blenny. The foxface is brightly coloured and both more peaceful and less susceptible to disease than tangs, and yet they will still eat just as much algae. In fact, the only catch is that they are a risk with some corals. Now in my experience they're about 90% reef safe, but I can tell you from personal experience that it's not much fun when you get a 10%er. The next category is character fish, and the winner, again by a nose with just 52% of the vote, was the scarlet hawkfish. They have a mischievous bandit mask along with goggly little eyes, and they're one of the few fish in the hobby that will watch you as much as you watch them. Now they can chase small gobies, and they're known to be a risk with small decorative inverts, but they'll mostly be okay as long as you avoid housing them with delicious snack-sized critters like sexy shrimp. And as a Brucey bonus, you can also keep them with other hawkfish in a big enough tank, and I've had success keeping a longnose and a scarlet together, as well as a longnose, a scarlet and a falco. The runner-up for character fish was the Midas blenny, which is the most sociable of all the blennies. They still live in dens like all blennies, but they also spend much more time swimming with their tank mates than most blennies, and they'll even befriend and shoal with schooling fish like antheas. The next category is the single most important for a visually impactful reef tank, the centerpiece fish. The 2 finalists were the copper-banded butterfly and the regal angelfish, and again it took the finest of margins to split these two, with the winner who took just 51% being the regal angel. They're one of the smaller large angelfish in the hobby, and if you get a captive bred regal, they are positively tiny. And if you get a small one, that also means you get to see them in their juvenile colours as well as their adult colours as they mature. And if that's not enough for you, they're also one of the most reef safe large angels, and mine was as good as gold and didn't touch any of my SPS, LPS or Zoas. However, fish of course don't read books, so don't be surprised if they do have the occasional nibble on your polyps. The second place copperband needs no introduction of course, and these stripy little bastards are as beautiful a fish as you will find in the hobby. They're mostly reef safe, and the only reason that you don't see more of them is because they have a poor survival rate and require a dedicated reef keeper who's prepared to go above and beyond to keep the fish feeding. Now no self-respecting reefer would keep a tank without a fish from the next category, clownfish. The 2 contestants for the King of Nemo's title were the beautiful Da Vinci clownfish and the cow-looking black storm clowns, and taking 64% of the vote in the first comfortable win was the Da Vinci's. Da Vinci clowns are the most natural looking of all the designer clownfish, and they just have that little extra edge over common clowns with the thicker white and black markings that also blend together to create that unique pattern. Now I've made a whole video on clownfish care that I'll link at the top of the screen, so the only other thing I'll tell you is that you should expect to pay around £150 or $150 for a pair of Da Vinci's, whereas black storms will cost 3 times that and were originally priced at a divorce-inducing £800 a pair, and people say the saltwater hobby is expensive. Category number 5 is another genus of fish that no reef tank should be without. Gobies. The finalists for the public vote were the Yasha Goby, which is a great option as a centerpiece tank for a nano, and the classic yellow Watchman Goby. Both of these guys are shrimp gobies, so they form a symbiotic relationship with a pistol shrimp, where the goby keeps an eye out for danger, while the pistol shrimp digs a cave for them all to live in. The yellow Watchman's USP is his bright shock of yellow, but the winner with 52% was the Yasha Goby. The Yasha is a little bit more expensive at around £60 or $100, but on the plus side, you can tell the difference between males and females, which means you can keep them together as a pair. Category number 6 is a hobby favourite category, the best reef safe with caution fish. The initial 2 choices were the iconic Flame Angel and the Multi-Bar Angel, but the Flame Angel won by a whopping 86% of the vote, so I'll give you a better alternative in a minute. The Flame Angel though is a worthy winner, stunning colours and body shape, and because it's a dwarf angel, it doesn't get too big, so they'll live happily in 3-foot tanks and maybe even slightly smaller than that. They also live up to the name reef safe with caution, as they're one of the most coral friendly angelfish in the hobby. You might be asking for trouble introducing one in a tank filled with fleshy LPS corals like acans and blastos, but I've seen enough of these guys playing nicely with all sorts of corals to make me want to give one a go in my own LPS dominated tank. Now, a better alternative than the multibar is the Moorish idol. This has got to be one of the most striking fish in the hobby, and it's a good size too, which also makes it a great centrepiece fish. They need a specialist high fibre diet of seaweed, and my own personal experience with this fish ended with him scraping at corals like chalices and maze corals, so while it's true to say that others have had better luck than me, the Moorish idol might be a bit more of a roll of the dice than the flame angel. Into the final 3, and we have to choose a schooling fish. Now, this category was something of a mismatch, with the cheap and cheerful blue-green chromis being pitted against the very exclusive and very expensive ventralis anthias. A shoal of 10 chromis will cost you around £100 or $100 US, whereas a single ventralis anthias will cost you anywhere between 2 and 5 times that, and I've seen a single ventralis anthias on sale for as much as $1,000. Despite that, the ventralis won a comfortable 68% of the vote thanks to its genuinely stunning pink and yellow colours and its speckled patterning. But before you phone your mortgage company to ask if you can skip a couple of payments, I'll give you a few more reasons you don't want to buy them. They're a deep water fish in the wild, which means they prefer much cooler water and lower light than you will need to run a successful reef aquarium, and they're also very needy eaters and will require 5 or 6 feeds per day. And if you're still not put off, well, there's also the potential for decompression sickness if they're not collected and brought up to the surface with extreme care, and there's a decent chance you'll only see the effects of that after you've parted with the money. And it's for all of these reasons that this is a very rare fish to find in the hobby. Blue chromis are the polar opposite of that though, with a wife-friendly price tag, and they are much easier to keep. They do still require multiple feedings per day, and they are known to bully each other endlessly, so you may buy 10 only to end up with just 1 a year later. Reef dork giveth and reef dork taketh away. The penultimate category was one of my personal favourite saltwater fishes, wrasses. The finalists were the ubiquitous yellow wrasse and the ultra rare, ultra difficult to keep femininus wrasse. And I'm pleased to tell you that the winner was the sensible cheap one. The yellow wrasse, who took 53% of the vote, is for me the complete embodiment of everything this hobby represents. It's super bright and colourful, it's inquisitive and will always be on display in your tank, it's peaceful, it's easy to keep, it's cheap for marines at around £40 or $40, it eats pests like coral eating nudibranchs, and of course, being a wrasse, its party trick is that it sleeps in the sandbed. Conversely, the admittedly beautiful femwrasse will set you back north of £1,000, and on top of that, it's almost impossible to keep. For reasons I can't fully explain, they just don't feed well in captivity, and I bet their average life expectancy in an aquarium is less than 6 months. So if you started by wondering how the yellow wrasse won this category, now you know why. The final category in the 9 best fish in the saltwater aquarium hobby was a wildcard entry. There were no rules, no restrictions, we just chose the coolest fish we could. My choice was the harlequin filefish, and he was up against the hilarious looking yellow boxfish. And the narrow winner with just 54% of the vote was the harlequin filefish. These guys have a completely unique hovering swimming pattern to go with unique colourings, and they can also be kept in pairs. For such a pretty fish, they're pretty affordable at £50 or $1 each, so you'd be forgiven for wondering what the catch is. Well, first up, they're very difficult to feed, and secondly, they're known to peck at corals. I've seen reports saying that they only eat polyps of Aquapora millipora in the wild, but I've seen many a hobbyist report them pecking at both LPS and SPS corals, so this is probably something of a coin toss of a fish, and very much not one for the faint-hearted. The second place yellow boxfish has similar issues, but with the added complexity of being susceptible to the white spot parasite, and while they look like popcorn as juveniles, adults are often 6 inches or longer and can supposedly grow to a tank-busting 18 inches long, all of which helps to explain why I love the humble yellow wrasse so much. So there you have it then, the definitive 9 best fish in the saltwater aquarium hobby as chosen by you. Now there were of course so many fish that didn't make the final shortlist, so let me know any of your favourites in the comment section below the like button, and if you want to know the definitive 15 best corals in the hobby or the definitive 10 best inverts in the hobby, you can watch those videos here and here next.